So lovely good evening and welcome to Camnet TV Main News. To present, my name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Top stories in the news: Chief KAKOMA of the LUNDA speaking people complains of ill treatment from suspected PF cadres. World Health Organization cautions politicians to be COVID-19 sensitive ahead of the campaigns. Zambia looks to Angola and DRC amid hiccups to export goods to Saudi Arabia. In international news, piracy makes Gulf of Guinea world's most dangerous shipping route. And in sports news, NAGOMA FC gets 3 points in the Central Province Division 1 games.
2021 has been described as a highly politically charged year. This is because every 5 years the country goes to the polls, and that 5 years elapses with only a few months remaining down to the ballot. The battlefield to appear on the ballot is becoming fertile. A lot of people are expressing interest of appearing on the ballot.
In all this, our interest is to put the duty bearers, the leaders, and those aspiring to task by asking the relevant questions.
If you're an aspiring candidate, be it councillor, mayor, or member of parliament, get in touch with us to get yourself on the verdict.
We go beyond speculation in dealing with policy and governance issues. The right questions are asked to help you make a verdict.
For more details, you can call us on 0962 965883, 0979 753010, or email us info@camnettvafrica.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Join us on Camnet TV
every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday at 17:45 hours
on a new program dubbed The Verdict.
Remember that Camnet TV is not just another channel.
And now the news in detail. Some residents of Chalala compound in Lusaka's Kabwata constituency have complained of being left behind in terms of development. Those interviewed by Camnet News are concerned that roads in the area are in a deplorable state. They have since called on area member of parliament, given Lubinda, and the local authority to come to their aid. We have more in this report.
This is Chalala area in Lusaka's Kabwata constituency. It is among areas recently opened up for habitation and civilization. Kabwata is among the most developed constituencies in Zambia, and under the leadership of Given Lubinda as Member of Parliament, the area has received a fair share of development, especially road infrastructure. But Borderview area in Chalala is among areas that have been left behind in terms of development. The roads are in a bad state, even worse during the rainy season. One has to be physically and psychologically fit to navigate the area with a vehicle. The wear and tear is the cost motorists have to endure, and accessing public transport is equally difficult. The people of this locality are asking their Member of Parliament to facilitate for the rehabilitation of the road. They say if the road could not be tarred at the moment, grading it would go a long way in addressing their concerns.
Marodi seri buini project bakirikotala na market tilipi kulibe marodi mwamene mwaoneraya yanto yaona eka marodi so turechitako apiona evyo kutira government at least vatololesha kwa marodi kuno tatwaishi vana vakansera vakuno na va MP vakuno tatwaveshi vava kuti twinge va marodi kuno iringi abantu barashupikwa especially ngabwairo kufuma mtown amabasi arafira okufika kuno mulando wa marodi so yaperera pasarena palya so again kwambo kwendo kufika ukufuma pasarena palya okuisa kuno especially ngawa ulefu mobushi ku mtown yaperera kwa thawina kuno so manje kurabo kushupika okwenda.
Issues raised by these people point to the issue of development inequalities. Hence it is critical that the government distributes national wealth equitably. They are also asking for a modern market.
Na market tilipi na police post na maningi chabe ndecho chifunika chikuru chabe market kuna tilipi pondi sana abana tunabana bena ngoseba grade 8 saenda ku school balingezi mlandu wachani tilipi pokulisira babuno tilipi uya wanga lingezi kwa kuja kunyumba Adiye pokulisa bakuti nipundisire bana nizapundisira nao wakaza tikatitandike amboti nyamulira atipoka tumoba mbati zatamangira kuti ija kupoka 1 crate awe boma ilanganepo tapemba manza jesa bana bwana ilanganepo
by broadcast time Efforts to get the views of area member of parliament given Lubinda and the local authority could not materialize. Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
The National Action for Quality Education in Zambia, NAKEZ, has urged the Ministry of General Education to reduce the number of subjects to be taught in primary and secondary schools. Organization Executive Director Aaron Chansa notes that this was after careful scanning of the Zambian education system, which he says the ministry cannot justify why certain subjects are still being offered in Zambia. Mr. Chansa has also noted that it is also irresponsible to give 5 subjects to grade 1 pupils. The organization has since proposed that only 5 subjects be taught at secondary level as opposed to the current 9 subjects.
So we would want the ministry to reduce the number of subjects at secondary school level to 5. Our view is that these subjects must be able to contribute towards somebody attaining their dreams. We are also surprised that even grade 1s are given up to 5 subjects. Our position is that these grade 1s must only concentrate on learning literacy, reading and writing, because a learner who can't read cannot learn. So we think that even some of the topics in our subjects should be removed. They are not relevant, they are useless, and not only to the learners but to this country.
The Human Rights Commission has implored stakeholders in the electoral process to take a human rights approach in the build-up to the August 12 general elections. Commission spokesperson Mwelwa Mleya tells Camnet News that adherence to human rights is also vital towards hosting free and fair polls. He says the Electoral Commission of Zambia, the Zambia Police, political parties, civil society organizations and the media have a responsibility to champion the human rights agenda in order to guarantee a credible election that is devoid of human rights violations.
Holding a free and fair election entails that the free will of the electorate must be respected, must be upheld. To that effect, we expect that the media will focus on ensuring that the rights of participating political parties and candidates to the right to freedom of assembly, expression, such as access to media, are respected, that there is no arbitrary arrest or intimidation of participating political parties and candidates, that they should be competing on an equal basis with others that they are competing with. Therefore, we call upon the media to focus on issues of human rights and freedoms, but also on maintenance of law and order. Because if there is no maintenance of law and order, it's difficult to enjoy the rights and freedoms of anyone. The vice versa also is the truth that if you don't respect rights and freedoms, there can be no law and order, because people will always struggle to claim their rights.
A political scientist and historian from the University of Zambia, Professor Bizek Piri, has urged political parties to observe the tenets of internal democracy as they adopt candidates ahead of the August 12 general elections. Internal democracy in political parties, also known as intra-party democracy, refers to the level and methods of including party members in the decision-making. And Professor Piri says political parties must strive to be democratic in their own political parties to demonstrate their ability to do so at national level. He has reminded political parties to respect the aspirations of the grassroots membership. We have more in the following report.
Internal democracy in political parties, also known as intra-party democracy, refers to the level and methods of including party members in the decision-making. Despite the important role that intra-party democracy plays in democratic consolidation, particularly third-wave democracies, it has not received much attention. As the country goes to the polls, all major political parties in the country, including the United Party for National Development and the governing Patriotic Front, have held their general conferences to elect their leaders, although some of the processes have raised a lot of questions pertaining to issues of internal democracy. And at the moment, political parties are undertaking adoptions of those aspiring to be leaders as councillors, council chairpersons, or mayors and members of parliament. And the ruling PF has already started announcing candidates in batches beginning with Northwestern Province. A historian from the University of Zambia, Professor Bizek Piri, has urged political parties to ensure that the will of the people prevails.
The people on the ground do not have a voice. In other words, you have taken away their voice. So, what we expect, therefore, is that as we go through this process, the election process, the democratic process, must start at the ground and must grow at every stage. You begin to see people being elected and not being appointed by an individual. That way you weaken the process. In other words, to be able to be democratic in a country, to say is a democracy, this is democracy, where people are elected, it must come from at all levels. If a political party does not practice democracy as a party, it is very difficult if that party came to power to expect that that party is going to practice democracy, because they are not used to it. They don't know, they don't believe that democracy is the best way to move. So when you talk about the democratic dispensation, it means that the process must be from the ground all the way up, so that in the end, only those that demonstrate to the electorate are put in positions of power.
Certainly, this year, more people are eager to take up leadership roles, and the competition is stiff. Lucky are those who will be adopted, and fortunate are the ones who will be voted into office. Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
Fisheries and Livestock Minister Professor Nkanduluo says following setbacks encountered on the much pronounced exportation of goats to Saudi Arabia, Zambia is exploring the regional market. In 2016, the governments of Zambia and Saudi Arabia signed a memorandum of understanding for Zambia to export 1 million goats annually to that country. And speaking during a Patriotic Front interactive forum in Lusaka Sunday, discussing the PF manifesto with emphasis on the agriculture sector, Professor Luo says Zambia will be exporting goats to Angola and the Democratic Republic of Congo. The minister was responding to a question as to how Zambia would be poised to feed the region when it has failed to meet the target of exporting goats to Saudi Arabia. She insists that the issue of slaughtering abattoirs is among factors that delayed the process, coupled with the COVID-19 pandemic.
We're expecting people from Saudi Arabia to come to Zambia to inspect. Our final inspection came COVID-19. And we as Zambia have no control over the restrictions that has happened of flights all over the world. It's not only Zambia suffering it, it's everybody who is suffering the restriction of transportation. So this is what has held our hands. But I've also said to some of you that we are not just sitting and waiting for that time, because we have other markets within the region of how, while we are waiting for the Saudi Arabia market, we already have a market in Angola, we have a market in Congo. And how we shall ease the access to farming inputs. I think our manifesto is very clear that we're going to build, incentivize the private sector because we want to increase players. We are going to create a leasing for these farming inputs.
Transparency International Zambia has described as a mockery claims by the ruling Patriotic Front that they will combat corruption through integrity committees in all public institutions. According to the Patriotic Front Manifesto 2021 to 2026, the ruling party has pledged to investigate and speedily prosecute cases of abuse of public resources and corruption reflected in the Auditor General's report. But TIZ Executive Director Maurice Nyambe wonders why the PF has allowed corruption to deteriorate to a level that it has reached for the past 10 years it has been in power. Mr. Nyambe says corruption worsened as evidenced by Zambia's performance on the Corruption Perception Index for the last 5 years President Lungu has been in office.
We think that it's a bit ironic that the ruling party should be mentioning the anti-corruption fight in that light. For us, we are also wondering where the PF has been for the last 10 years that they have been in government. Where have they been to have allowed the corruption situation to deteriorate to the level that it has? If you look at Zambia's performance, even on the Corruption Perception Index, if you look at the latest one that we released at the beginning of this year, what you will see is that our score on the index has been dropping ever since, certainly for the last 5 years. What that entails is that our corruption situation has become worse over the last 5 years. And of course, the PF has been at the helm of governance in the last 5 years. And so for us, really, it is a question of wondering what new ideas, what new energy the PF is going to bring to this fight against corruption.
Chief KAKOMA of the Lunda-speaking people of Mwinilunga district has expressed disappointment with the ill treatment rendered to him by Patriotic Front PF cadres on Saturday. Patriotic Front, the traditional leader, has explained that despite being officially invited for a meeting with Vice President GUINEA, who was in Mwinilunga, PF cadres blocked him from accessing the venue of the meeting on account that he is very controversial. Chief KAKOMA has wondered why cadres seem to have so much power, even to harass traditional leaders in the manner they did. Chief KAKOMA asks whether it has now become a crime for a chief to demand for development in his or her chiefdom, as it is now being perceived to be an offense. He says his chiefdom is lacking development, hence him talking about lack of development must not make him as an enemy of the state. Meanwhile, the chief says he is also not happy with the treatment rendered to his headmen, who government had invited and only gave them a meager 300 kwacha as transport refund. He narrates that his headmen covered over 220 kilometers from KAKOMA chiefdom to Mwinilunga, only to be given a 300 kwacha after a meeting with the vice president.
This country does not belong to cadres. This country belongs to people for Zambians. A cadre is not only a cadre for the party, but not how to control country. No, that's why we have police. So now, we want we can respect people, even police officers, not whereby cadres threatening police. No. I don't condemn that.
But how was your interaction with the vice president?
Anyway, I was just giving my problems, which I'm facing in KAKOMA there. I've got a lot from KAKOMA to Rumana, 72 kilometers. There's not even a clinic there. Also, we have another road from Karumbing and Sweta Road, no clinic. And KAKOMA Rakia Road, no clinic. And I've got more than 20,000 people. But we're just surviving one clinic.
Presence of God Ministries senior pastor Christopher Kunda has accused the ruling Patriotic Front and the opposition United Party for National Development UPND of promoting anarchy in the country. And Apostle Kunda has since challenged President Edgar Lungu and UPND leader Hakainde Hichilema to tell their supporters to stop championing politics of hatred. Apostle Kunda regrets that politicians have continued to promote tribalism in the country, especially when it is election time. He has told Camnet News that tribalism has no place in a Christian nation such as Zambia. Meanwhile, Apostle Kunda has called on politicians to desist from encouraging their supporters to engage in political violence as official campaigns kick off next month.
The Bible says that life and death relies on the power of the tongue, and the who love it shall eat its fruits. When politicians, they are speaking something that can bring anarchy in the country, that is not health. Especially the issue of tribalism, I think it comes always in the time of election. I think it's not good for the Zambian people. I'm calling the leaders from the ruling party and also the major parties like UPND, where they can tell their people not to be violent, not to bring violence in this country, because what we speak to our people, it matters. If we say we are ready to fight, what are you saying? It's not good for this nation. We are a Christian nation, and we must be governed by the principles of the Word of God.
You're watching Camnet TV, not just another channel. We'll take a break. We'll be back with more news.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962-642-490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
Every day for me means hard work. Going to sell my goods at the local market. To get more customers, I have my secret. Oracle Pure Glycerin. It's soft, smooth, and keeps my skin perfect. And my customers know it. Thank you, Oracle, for my perfect skin.
When you get Showmax, you get instant access to full seasons of award-winning series and blockbuster movies.
It's amazing.
You get shows you won't find anywhere else, like Showmax Originals.
Thank you so much.
You get awesome kids shows.
Freaking awesome.
Amazing documentaries.
You literally cannot make this up.
And now, you also get live world-class sport from Supersport.
Everything's under control.
All ready and waiting for you to watch online on your smartphone, tablet, desktop, or smart TV, wherever and whenever you like.
Whoa.
So what are you waiting for? Go to showmax.com to sign up. From football season to binge-worthy seasons, you'll get it all on Showmax. One platform, endless entertainment.
And bananas.
Working, waiting, this what you've been praying for.
Welcome back. We continue with the news. The Opposition Patriots for Economic Progress, PEP, is calling for the removal of a grade 12 certificate requirement for local government candidates such as mayors, council chairpersons and councillors. Party President Sean Tembo says this will help enhance the quality of representation at this level. He says this situation will not only help the political parties taking part in the election, but the general citizenry. Currently, the law states that anyone wishing to take public office through the ballot must possess a grade 12 certificate as a major requirement, a situation that has seen many fall off.
We have noted with a lot of concern the fact that this grade 12 requirement has caused a lot of havoc in almost all political parties in terms of being able to identify specific candidates who can stand in this year's general elections. And in as much as we believe it is a necessary requirement at presidential and parliamentary level, given the levels of responsibility of office holders in those positions, we do strongly believe that it is an unnecessary requirement for local government positions, such as mayors, council chairpersons, and councillors. And it is on this basis that we wish to make an earnest appeal to the ruling Patriotic Front, as well as the main opposition, United Party for National Development, for them to consider tabling a bipartisan constitutional amendment bill in Parliament before Parliament dissolves, which would remove the Grade 12 requirement from local government candidates.
United Party for National Development Manyinga constituency Member of Parliament Robert Liefo has lamented the underdevelopment in his constituency. Mr. Liefo says Manyinga has continued to lag behind in terms of development despite raising these issues with government, both in Parliament and outside Parliament. Mr. Liefo's comments come after visiting a muddy KAKOMA primary school, which has 2 teachers against 7 classes. The parliamentarian asks why government, through the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit, DMMU, has neglected the school, which is putting the lives of children at risk. He says he has since embarked on the construction of a better school to replace the muddy and grass-thatched classroom. This came to light when the lawmaker visited the school area as he took some building materials at the said school. He has wondered if at all DMMU exists in the country because people of KAKOMA have been reporting their problems to DMMU through him, but to no avail.
This school, as you can see, you can't even say that Zambia obtained independence 56 years to now. The school, the pupils have been suffering, they've been learning in a thatched house. This time around when I came here, I found that where they were learning, they've abandoned the place and they were learning under this tree you have seen here. Then from here, we asked the community if they can shift to a nearby church. It's where they are now. I've been engaging the government if they can come on board to help this community. You know, this community belongs to Zambia, does not belong to Angola. And the same community contributes heavily to national treasury because the money is coming from Northwestern Province. And these people belongs to Northwestern Province. I've brought the contractor so that he can start roofing this because the pipes have been already elected, so that he can start roofing this infrastructure. Then after finishing, we will see. I've supplemented on government effort. This is the percentage that the community is doing. I'm asking the government if they can come on board to help the community so that they can finish the ground level. Me, I'm doing the roofing level.
The World Health Organization, WHO, has called on political parties in Zambia to adhere to all the health guidelines that have been put in place in response to the COVID-19 ahead of the campaigns. World Health Organization Country Director Nathan Baketa has told Camnet News in an interview that all political parties should ensure they observe all the 5 rules, which is social distancing, masking up, hand hygiene, avoiding mass gatherings, and seeking care when sick. Dr. Baketa says whether it is a political campaign rally or any other interventions one may have, there is need to adhere to the health regulations.
We have what we call the 5 golden rules, all right, which is social distancing, hand hygiene, masking up, making sure that when you are ill, you seek care, and also avoiding mass gatherings. Those are the regulations that have been adopted by government. So what we say is that whether it is in political campaigns or any other intervention you're having, it's important to find a way of observing those 5 golden rules, because as we have seen, when we do not observe them, then people fall sick and people die. So we'll have to find, my advice is to everybody, whatever intervention you are having in this country, remember COVID-19 is still with us. It is widespread in our community. Observe the 5 golden rules.
Zambia has joined the rest of the world in commemorating World Malaria Day under the theme Zero Malaria, with a global goal of a 90% reduction in cases and deaths by the year 2030. In a statement, Health Minister Jonas Chanda has reminded the public that even as the country fights the COVID-19 pandemic, focus on other deadly infectious diseases like malaria and others should not be lost. The minister is happy that tremendous progress has been made in controlling malaria globally on the African continent and in Zambia. He, however, says the continent still grieves a preventable 384,000 malaria deaths annually in Africa, adding that Zambia remains steadfast in its prevention programs. He cited the distribution of insecticide-treated nets, indoor residue spraying, testing for and treatment of malaria, as well as use of intermittent preventive treatment in pregnant women. Meanwhile, Dr. Chanda says COVID-19 pandemic is still threatening the public, as evidenced from the trends noted within and outside Zambia, with some countries experiencing the third wave. Hence, pandemic preparedness remains key for Zambia. He says despite the public being skeptical in taking the AstraZeneca vaccine, 1,469 people received the COVID-19 vaccine countrywide in the last 24 hours. This brings the cumulative number of vaccinated persons to 14,012. A total of 4,565 healthcare workers have now been vaccinated countrywide. The minister has also reported that in the last 24 hours, there have been 41 new cases. The Zambia Congress of Trade Unions, ZCTU, has expressed worry over the continued poor performance of the local economy, which is affecting workers. ZCTU Secretary General Cosmas Mukuka says while the COVID-19 outbreak has contributed to the current state of the economy, there is need for the government to implement pronouncements it has made. Speaking to Camnet News, Mr. Mukuka has noted the need to ensure the pronouncement by President Edgar Lungu on the need to prioritize the buying of local products to promote the Zambian campaign is implemented.
The economy, especially for the workers, average workers, and looking after a family of 6 from the survey by the Justice Center for Theological Research, still gives and paints a very, very bad picture. That you need something, not less than 6,000 to manage your family of 6, with the basic items be bought in a particular manner, which excludes the social things like partying, going for a beer and those things. It just keeps you like a person guarding the church without socializing. Just feeding your family of 6, you require more than not less than 6,000. I think, of course, we understand the situation of the COVID impact on the workers.
This is Camnet TV Main News. We'll take another break. We'll be back with more news.
In this fast-paced era of industrial boom and population growth, there is need to invest in smart ways of managing electricity and water consumption and reducing utility billing costs associated with the postpaid billing system. At Savenda Electronics, we manufacture right here in Zambia different types of high-quality smart electricity and water meters to customer specifications. Savenda Electronics water and electricity meters help you monitor your usage and gives notifications such as low units, tampering, low battery, and many other features. These easy-to-use meters makes it easier to buy units even in these COVID times and top up just from the comfort of your space. Favorable contract terms are available to both electricity and water utilities. For more details, get in touch with us on the following numbers: 0956 580 349 or 0977 498 318. Savenda Electronics, the real deal.
Find all the answers on GoTV this weekend. Join the search for Pablo Escobar's millions using the latest technology. Learn new songs while making new friends with Berry and Dolly. And who better to solve all your problems than Judge Judy? GoTV. Love it.
2021 has been described as a highly politically charged year. This is because every 5 years the country goes to the polls, and that 5 years elapses with only a few months remaining down to the ballot. The battlefield to appear on the ballot is becoming fertile. A lot of people are expressing interest of appearing on the ballot.
In all this, our interest is to put the duty bearers, the leaders, and those aspiring to task by asking the relevant questions.
If you're an aspiring candidate, be it councillor, mayor, or member of parliament, get in touch with us to get yourself on the verdict.
We go beyond speculation in dealing with policy and governance issues. The right questions are asked to help you make a verdict.
For more details, you can call us on 0962 965883, 0979 753010, or email us info@camnettvafrica.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Join us on Camnet TV
every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday at 17:45 hours
on a new program dubbed The Verdict.
Remember that Camnet TV is not just another channel.
Welcome back. And in international news, the Gulf of Guinea looks set to maintain its notorious status as one of the most dangerous maritime areas in the world because of pirate attacks. Nearly half of the 38 incidents recorded globally in the first 3 months of this year happened there. Still in international news, as relations strengthen between Europe and the Sahel, the EU's foreign policy chief held talks with Mali's top leaders in Bamako on Saturday. Josep Borrell Fontales pledged EU support as Mali undergoes a transition to an elected government following last year's military coup. Young military officers ousted President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta on August 18 after months of protests driven by his failure to solve Mali's long-running jihadist conflict and perceived corruption. For more, here is a roundup of international news.
These Navy commandos are setting out on a hunt for pirates at sea. It's a dangerous assignment that security forces of this small West African nation have been carrying out for years. They face pirates and armed criminal gangs that seize cargoes and kidnap crew members for ransom. At sea, the team escorts vessels in and out of the maritime hub of Cotonou, Benin's economic nerve center. They're in constant touch with their operation base, while larger vessels stand by to deploy in case of bigger threats.
These operations led to a significant decrease in illegal activities. It's a dangerous operation, but we're professional officers who are well trained to do just that.
For 3 consecutive years, the Gulf of Guinea has been the world's most dangerous shipping route. More than half of attacks at sea happen here, a maritime territory that covers nearly 2.5 million square kilometers.
The International Maritime Bureau documented 195 pirate attacks in the Gulf of Guinea last year, 32 more than the previous year. Benin's Navy says only one of those attacks happened in its territorial waters, and it wants to keep it that way. So it's asking merchant ships coming into its waters to also hire private security to enhance safety.
Every year, the sophistication of the attacks has grown, and countries of the region, desperate not to lose control of their maritime and economic lifelines, are looking for international support.
Previously, the pirates target tankers, but now any ship is a target, and they have vessels that travel far offshore, although the criminals attack close to shore as well.
At the naval headquarters, new speedboats are prepared for deployment. The Navy chief says bigger vessels are on their way to reinforce operations, and for the right reasons. Benin's port in Cotonou handles 90% of its foreign trade and generates more than 60% of its GDP. It processes 12 million tons of freight annually.
Any attacks on ships in our areas, we feel it. It affects our revenues from duties. All attacks, or even an attempted, negatively impact the country's economy. We are not only investing to tackle attacks, but also preventing them. More important to us is preventing attacks, because intervention costs more in terms of money and human lives.
Benin has a naval force of only a few hundred personnel, but is able to effectively reduce attacks in its territorial waters. And officials here say if more countries in the Gulf of Guinea collaborated more closely, shipping routes would become much safer. Ahmed Idris, Al Jazeera, Cotonou.
As relations strengthen between Europe and the Sahel, the EU's foreign policy chief held talks with Mali's top leaders in Bamako on Saturday, pledging support as Mali undergoes a transition to an elected government following last year's military coup. Finally, I had the pleasure to see the president before the transition, to bring him the clear support of the EU to this civil transition. It's a transition that should be historical. It will serve as a basis to the new Mali, with a process and a calendar that should be followed, with elections, structural reforms and good governance. With these, Mali can count on the support of the European Union. The new EU strategy for Sahel affirms the importance of a solid and long-term partnership through legislation and strategies. Presidential and legislative elections are due to take place in Mali in February 2022.
It's now time for sports news. In sports news, in the Central Province Division 1 Provincial Games, Tazara Express of Kaperi Mposhi has failed to turn up for a match against NAGOMA Football Club. NAGOMA FC Vice Team Manager Samuel Mango says the team had prepared for the game, but that it is unfortunate that their opponents could not show up. Team coach Roy Shangoji says despite not playing, they still got 3 points that will push them further up the table, as they are currently on 7th on the league table.
We have loved to win the game on the pitch. It's unfortunate that our opponents did not show up. However, based on the rules of the game, when an opponent doesn't travel, then you pick the points. But our wish was to win on the pitch. So I would say it's 50-50. We are happy, we have picked the points, but we are sort of unhappy we did not play the game. But that's how it is. We have performed very well. We are new in this league, playing with teams our objective is to prepare HICCUPS so that we make position 7. According to today's results, if Mumba Medics will fall, then we'll move a step forward. It will move to position 6 or 5 somewhere there. Still good, but there's a lot of work to be done.
That sporting item brings us to the end of our news. We'll take a look at the headlines once again before we go. Chief KAKOMA of the LUNDA speaking people complains of ill treatment from suspected PF cadres. World Health Organization cautions politicians to be COVID sensitive ahead of the campaigns. And Zambia looks to Angola and DRC amid hiccups to export goods to Saudi Arabia. In international news, piracy makes Gulf of Guinea world's most dangerous shipping route. And in sports news, NAGOMA FC gets 3 points in the Central Province Division 1 games. Our Camnet verse of the day is coming from the book of Revelation 7, verse 9 to 10, and it reads, "After this I looked, and there was a vast multitude from every nation, tribe, people, and language, which no one could number, standing before the throne and before the Lamb. They were robed in white with palm branches in their hands. And they cried out in a loud voice, Salvation belongs to our God, who is seated on the throne, and to the Lamb. My name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.